It was at this moment he knew he messed up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for tuning in. It's going to be a big, big episode. It's probably going to even be a bigger episode tomorrow because Asmund Gold said he's going to go through the entire 200 page, my goodness, 200 pages on the grooming gangs and shit, the testimonies and, witness reports and like all that all those harrowing details, 200 pages of it. So, like, we're probably, if we're going to be honest about it, we probably heard maybe 5 to 10% of it. If we're going to be honest, like 200 pages is 200 pages. So, it's going to be, well, he estimated something like 11 hours just to get through all of that. So, yeah. This is the day that a lot of people were dreading probably for a long time coming. So, a little bit of history. Apparently, the grooming gangs were all the way, like the earliest reports were all the way back in the 1950s. Wow, that is something. That is really something. I mean, I would argue that the proclivities of these people have existed like this even before people made contact with them. Like they were always like this. And then when people made contact with them, they started to do the whole adjustment, like pretend, wearing the human camouflage, saying the right thing to like, avoid detection because they're all unified. They're all together. They're all as one. And like a lot of people are getting this problem wrong. And I'm so angry at having to say this over and over again. But I'm gonna start off the video like this by pretty much saying what I always say, and that is you don't have friends in this matter. Like basically the only reason, and this is the sad truth, the only reason that the people in the UK are seeing any form of justice over this grooming gang scandal is because of Elon Musk, because of, politicians in America, and people outside of the UK in general. Like, people all around the world are talking about this. And the people in the UK and in the general vicinity of the United Kingdom really don't give a shit about this grooming gang scandal because if we're talking about like 250,000 people, sorry, women, young girls being sexually groomed, assaulted in the most grotesque ways possible, then the complicit nature of these people inside of the government, people in the surrounding nations, the older generations, people of the ethnicities of, and I want to be very clear about this, very clear, both Pakistani and Sikhism. Okay? Sikhism is the veil, the guards, the vanguards, the protected help, the hired help. They are very much insulating the grooming gangs. And people don't know this. They're like, oh, it's just the Pakistanis. It's just the Muslims. It's an Islamic grooming gang. Except when you look up the Huddersfield grooming gang. And I'm glad that, like, of all the pictures being circulated about grooming gangs, that one specifically with the guy, that the Sikh leader of the Huddersfield grooming gang being used as like the example of grooming gangs because people will forget. They'll say, "Oh, the proud Sikhs, the noble Sikhs, they would never ever do anything to harm us white people." Look up what happened on my birthday in the United Kingdom, June 20th. Last year, two truckers, Sikhs, went to go drop off a television to some teenage girl, right? You know how it is, like Best Buy or whatever hardware store, and then they just truck out a television for you because it's heavy, right? It's like part of the convenience of buying stuff there. So they come into the house, nobody's home but her, and they sexually assault her. And not only do they sexually assault her, they take turns. They gang rape her basically. Two Sikhs. I think they might be brothers, but then again, like they could just have my parents' last name, the last name Singh and shit, which is why I remember shit like this. And it isn't just that. Like, you have Jaskar, you have other Sikhs that are getting caught by the pedophile hunters and shit, which, more or less are getting shut down by the government. It's a problem they wish they can make go away. And it's one of those things where we have to talk about forgiveness. Yeah, yeah. I don't think anybody wants to talk about that shit. I don't think that's like the last thing on the tip of everybody's tongue to talk about forgiveness. Not all Muslims, not all Sikhs, not all these guys are like this. We want these people in the country. These people, contribute to the economy. It's one of those things where the delusions that the older generations have been pushing off on the younger generations not only were transparent to an nth degree, like it's so exponentially transparent, it serves to suffer for the generations of like hardships that like everybody had to put up with. Like everybody has to pay more taxes, everybody's less safe, you know, housing costs more, everything costs more because we are taking in large groups of people who do not belong to society. They don't belong in this world. They belong in the shithole that they crawled out of. That's how it is. And for all those who cry racism, oh, by the way, they're still doing it. Yeah, they're still doing it. They're still doing it. I was going to watch the video, but I said, fuck it. I'm just going to come out with this video now. Otherwise, it's just going to be a 30-minute video. So, not only is this grooming gang report coming out that like has 250,000, possibly much more victims being identified and stuff, but they're still grooming children to this day. There was a video by Tal Loran, and I'll look it up again. It's you know, trying to forcefully kidnap people was the title of the video, something like that. Let's see. Let's see. Or was it somebody else? I think it was somebody else. Okay, cool. Well, whatever. It's like one of those sensationalized ass videos that like, illustrates just how fucked up it is. Like first you have these traffic cop parking ticket guys and motherfuckers be like, you know, I need my traffic money. I'm gonna beat you up if you don't give it to me. And then you see him without his hoodie, without his hat, and it's like, I see why you're so fucking angry. Like it's a realization that they can't have what they've been having for so long. And like, I actually kind of wondered to myself, like, why are white people racist against black people? Why are white people racist against East Asians or anybody else? Like, when we're talking about an industrial scale of people who systematically sexually assaulted, molested, and did like some of the most unthinkable crimes to white people, Pakistanis and Punjabis seem to be getting lots of passes, like lots of them. Like, think about it like this, right? You have a scandal, the grooming gang scandal in the background like this, and then you have Marvel movies coming out with like the Pakistani Miss Marvel, that other Kumail Namjani. It's like, who the fuck are these Pakistanis? What the fuck are they doing in mainstream media? And it's almost as if they're like clowning the victims of these grooming gangs because they get to see like the face of their perpetrators and shit. Now, it's kind of funny how I predicted that people were going to get their faces, ripped off. People are going to try to kill people, strangle them, whatever, because of the jealousy of having somebody, living in these countries and shit. Meanwhile, like, they're an ugly ass person or whatever, they're poor, and they have to, like, do what they gotta do. I mean, I don't think they have to do it. I don't think anybody thinks they have to do it. They just feel as if it's necessary. It's like, okay, life is not worth living. I might as well throw it away and like, maybe take somebody else with me if I have the chance. That's the way I see it logically. And so knowing this, bearing this knowledge and stuff, what is the realistic observation from all of this is that this is becoming the most dangerous moment in time and history ever. Okay? And let me explain to you why that is. So, airports, they check your ID, your passport, they look at your face, they check your bags, x-ray you, they x-ray your body to make sure you're not smuggling anything in. And then you're free to go. Like, they'll probably monitor you more or less, like, whatever. I don't know. I don't know, like, the security of, like, nations and shit, how serious and how extensive it is. So, I bring that up because one of the things I said, somebody's gonna be out there who looks like you, who wants to wear your face. And I'm not talking about just ripping your face off and putting it on your, like, nobody could really do that. Like, realistically speaking, what I'm talking about is stealing your identity wholesale. So they look like you, they may even sound like you, talk like you, and all that shit. And now, you know, and this is specifically, I'm going to refer to this specifically to three groups of people because I think they have it the hardest, right? Well, not hardest, but like this is they're getting hit. Yeah, they have it the hardest. They have it the hardest, and they're impacted the most from this. So, when it comes to Islam, right, inbreeding is very common in that religion. So you have various countries of individuals in these nations, and you'll have like a guy who looks like completely the same as this other guy in a completely different nation, or even like, you know, many miles away from your country of origin. Obviously, like there's a whole ethnic barrier and this and that, but like you could have a Pakistani guy, and because these guys have been raping white women for God knows how long, right? Those genes are in their gene pool, and you can have that Pakistani guy look almost identically wholesale to like almost to a white guy, right? Like they kind of look very similar, right? Obviously, you have the whole dominant genes, and then eventually the gene pool will like take away all the recessive genes and all those things. The blue eyes, the light hair, you know, whatever, right? It's all gonna go away. So what am I getting at is, yeah, the Sikhs, the Pakis, dude, there's people out there that look like you because you're fucking inbred, right? And you go on vacation or you go somewhere and somebody sees you, right? And they say, "Hey, look, what you got in your pocket? What you have?" And they just take everything. Not just your money, your identification, your car keys, your house keys, everything. And they'll probably just like, you know, after getting rid of you, you know, walk around your house, look at your baby pictures, try to like, you know, turn on your computer or whatever, see any like recordings of you and this and that, and then, you know, get on a plane, and then that's it. Stolen identity. See, it's kind of ironic how Islam wanted to conquer the world, and all it ended up doing was creating the worst possible scenario for its own people. Like, they can't control this. Like, here's the thing with like the Islamic religion and Sikhism and all these fucking, you know, cult ass retard religions that, you know, we gotta stab people, we gotta like carry weapons and all this fucking, you know, insecure fuckboy shit, is that they can't control the members of their religion. They just can't. And I think that's like universal, like more or less. Like you can't control every Hindu, you can't control every Christian, every Jew, right? Obviously. But when it comes to their religions, what I'm talking about is like the whole sinister aspect of it. I'm not trying to say like Hindus are innocent or like whoever, right? But like there is no safeguard against Muslim on Muslim crime. And we've known this our whole lives. Like the Arab Spring was basically Muslims killing Muslims. When you break it down to the lowest common denominator, like what's it really about? Beyond these dictators losing power in these countries that they've held, you know, positions of rulership for, you know, decades, generations. Beyond that, it's just Muslims killing Muslims. Obviously, there's like, you know, other ethnicities, like, you know, let's not forget that like, you know, Islam doesn't necessarily have the highest opinion of anybody else other than Muslim, right? There's no chance. There's no chance. You want to go to Dubai? Okay, go to Dubai. Make sure that you're in like large crowds of people and you're always supervised and shit. The second you go to the bathroom, some restroom in some like fancy ass casino or restaurant or whatever, they probably have some like fancy ass like facilities over there, right? The second you go over there, someone's got to fucking grab like a piano wire, like some kind of like thing to strangle you out with, take you out, and that's it. Wear your face, have your ID, whatever. Like, think about it like this. How the fuck are the people at the airport gonna know? Do they have a DNA scanning machine in the airport? You scan your DNA? You have to do your fingerprints? That would actually kind of work if you had to do your fingerprints at the airport. But to my knowledge, you don't have to. You don't have to use your fingerprints. Yo, the Muslims and the Sikhs are fucking screwed, my guy. And specifically the Pakistanis and the Punjabis. Like, well, and also the Arabs by extension. So that's like a lot of groups of people, large groups of people, man, that are basically. The title of this video is called The Fourth World. I actually forget what the fuck it's called because it's like, fuck it. I need some more asthma medication. It's a long ass video. So, we know about fourth world, third world, sorry, third world countries, right? Basically, three things in common: low GDP, high crime rate, low opportunities and currency exchange, all that stuff, right? But what is the fourth world, right? Well, you have the third world, very much so, right? And I don't give a fuck about anybody from Pakistan who says otherwise. No, dude, your country is a third world country. Stop fucking playing. You in Bangladesh, you're third world countries, right? But let's talk about what the fourth world country is. So it was a running joke, right? Specifically here in Canada, that like the crime in Punjab has gone way down and it's so much more safer and nicer now. So yeah, because all the fucking retards and criminals have illegally jumped and, ran over to Canada. Some of them went to America. Some of them are in Portugal for some reason, talking about Khalistan, right? Oh, we're totally different from the Muslims. Yeah, fuck up out of here, man. And I love how, like, the grooming gang reports show that, like, oh, the Sikh girls and the Hindu girls were groomed. Yeah, because the Sikhs like to hide behind the Hindus, dude. That's how it is. It's always been like this. Whenever they, like, get victimized, it's always the Indian. It's always the poor, you know, East Asian, not East Asians. Like they call them just Asians now. So dumb. I hate the UK. So fucking stupid. But also like the idea that you have people coming back from these places that they got deported from and they legally jumped ship. And let's not be naive about this. They weren't necessarily the most impoverished and opportunistic type of requiring people. There were people who paid the boat people, the smugglers, human traffickers, whatever, they paid them, right? Now, what am I getting at? They wanted a free ride, a lot of these mans, right? Entire boats full of men, just men, just men, just Pakistanis, just Punjabis, just men, just Arabs, just Africans, right? Just males. And what happens when you get boats like that, right? And then you start deporting these people. Well, what you're going to start ending up with is a realization that not all these guys want to leave. And that's a given. But if you manage to take out a percentage of them, let's say of the millions, and let's be realistic here, 5, right? That's a pretty significant amount. So you send them back to the country of origin. What happens to that country that you sent them back to? Yeah, that's right. It becomes way, way, way worse because now you have these fucking retard ass rapist fucks, these pedophile retards who've been, caught grouping up kids, selling drugs, fucking just being little shits, being little fuckheads, right? And then, the countries, Pakistan, Punjab, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Iran, like all these countries. I think that's possibly one of the reasons why the Iran deal went through is that there are expats from Iran and people just don't want to take them in as refugees and say, fuck it, man. The whole world's sick of them. The whole world's sick of this, burden of Islam, taking these Muslims, specifically mostly guys and shit. Within a few years, they'll be masking up, running through the streets, chanting Allah Akbar. But you gotta care about them because that's the way it is, man. The creation of the fucking fourth world fucking countries, dude. I believe this shit. I can't wait to hear Aswin just go through 200 pages. I actually don't think he should do it. Personally, I think that he should just let somebody else do it or whatever, because that might put a target on his back. Not that he should care, but it's just I see it as more or less a petty way of him getting back at Hassan because Hassan's fucking snap and losing his shit. Hassan's just I think some of these Muslims do think that it's a win that Iran gets to keep its sovereignty, but let's look at it from an actual honest perspective, right? If the Jewish people who were 30 and up were around my age, didn't have kids, didn't have any obligations, if they just went back to their country to help their fellow Israelis fight, and we're not just talking about from one nation like Canada and America, we're talking about from all nations, it would be a pretty significant amount. Now, would that turn the tide and help them defeat Hamas faster? Absolutely. I believe that 100%. You have a bunch of young soldiers who are conscripted, meaning they're forced to join the military. Some of them might even question leadership, right? And they're naive. They're not aware of how merciless their enemies are. And they've had to fight that war for basically 2+ years. And then even after the fact, what do they have to show for it, right? They still need more boots on the ground in Iran. They have to protect Israel because there's being rockets launched from Lebanon. It's a dire situation, and it unfortunately ended due to the fact that weak men, they didn't want to fight. The U.S. military also said we don't want to fight these Israeli wars, these Jewish wars, these things they see useless to us. People have lost sympathy for pretty much everybody, for refugees, for Jewish people, for homosexuals, for I'm pretty sure the world has been permanently scarred, and it mostly had to do with this grooming gang report. The details, the fact that everybody was involved in it. Reports are the cops were involved and they also participated in it. It's an eye opener, and it's creating the fourth world because these people, they don't want to go back. And if you force them to go back, you're going to create countries that are so maniacally desperate. You're going to have the exact same situation in Afghanistan where people are just flooding, planes. They don't want to leave. They won't want to suffer. They'd rather kill themselves, jump on the back of a plane, and as it's taking off, fall down. Here we are, the creation of the fourth world countries. Thanks to the Pakistanis, the Punjabis, all the Arabs, and the Caliphate, the Khalistani Caliphate.